It's still great to see it's still surviving today. It's not extinct, it's not been destroyed, and any rumors of that are put to rest because it's here today. And literally, his display is where it all started for me. Inside this museum is something special that nearly became extinct, and it's probably not what you think it is. To learn more, just come along with me. I'm here at the Everhart Museum located at Nyack Park in Scranton. I'm here because inside is something special that I have visited over the years, ever since I was a little kid. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to see it again. But surprisingly enough, it's actually inside and still surviving. And let's just say, if you like detailed model train displays, you're absolutely going to love this video. Let's head inside and check it out. Had to wait for a field trip to clear out. It got a bit noisy. So here we're going to talk a bit about Don Clark's miniature memories, learn more about him and how it came to be before we actually check out the display. And there's a picture of him right here. It says, in loving memory, 1933 to 2010. Now, from my understanding, Don was a former police officer who always had a fond passion for cars and trains, and upon his retirement, he followed that passion. And in 1977, I believe, his display went public at the Kaiser Oak Shopping Center. And I've never seen it there, but eventually moved to the Scranton Marketplace, and there is where I became really familiar with this model train display. My father was actually pretty good friends with Don, and we went to the marketplace pretty often, and I knew that anytime we'd go there, the highlight for me would be checking out his incredible train display. After that, though, it did move to Gertrude Hawkes in Dunmore, which I don't remember ever seeing it there. But eventually, its final location was the mall, Steamtown or Steamtown Mall, where I did do a video of it back in 2014. It was inside a former jewelry store, and then I moved to another shop. But by that time, Don already passed away, unfortunately. So it was being kind of kept going with his family. But as you can understand, it'd be a big undertaking to keep something this big going with maintenance and upkeep, and also just staffing the hours to allow the public to come. So over time, it kept being open less and less, eventually closed almost indefinitely until the display was removed from the mall. And that's when myself and many others thought that, well, that was the end of it. We're never going to see it again. That wasn't until the current owner now has possession of it and is keeping it going for the public to see, at least temporarily here at the Everhart Museum. Now, the great thing about this display is attention to detail. It is modeled after the city of Scranton, and what I remember, it was primarily an HO gauge display, all HO trains. Not only is it modeled after the city of Scranton, but nearly everything was scratch built, and Don himself, even went so far as to obtaining blueprints for certain buildings to build them as accurately as possible. So we're going to see a lot of familiar landmarks, buildings, locations, and some other things that are in the surrounding Northeast Pennsylvania area. Now today, looking at it at first glance, a lot of familiar sites. I think it's set up differently from what I remember. It was one giant layout. Now it's broken up into pieces, and there are some different gauge trains on here today. But the heart and soul of it is still here. So we're going to take a brief walk around, show you it, and then the individual who's here is going to run some trains for us. We'll be able to see it in operation. But just to take you around and show you some of the amazing buildings here, like this one here, Crawford Mansion. And just to think that back in the 70s or 80s, most of these were built by hand. And even the building we're in today, Everhart Museum, is right there. Back there is Brendale High School. And look at the children on the swing set, the playground. So just going to kind of take you around, show you some highlights. Spotless Cleaners right there. A lot of these buildings or businesses are no longer in business or even in existence, but they were back when he modeled this. Now back here we get to an industrial area. We got Ups and Downs Elevator Company. And again, detail is phenomenal. Loading dock, barrels, workers. That is a power station right there. We've seen some abandoned ones like that. It looks like maybe a typical or part of a coal breaker site. And looking back, long building right there, which might be maybe the marketplace. I don't know if that's here or not, but I know that building to see it in modern day, which is still is in existence. And here we're looking closer at downtown Scranton. Times Tower, Scranton Courthouse, Glider Diner. A lot of these things are going to ring a bell for those of you who are local to the area. The Electric City building. That looks like the library right down there. And there's Cooper's. Cooper's restaurant, famous for the nautical theming with the ship, even the octopus there. Fire department, still in existence. Got Amtrak. Coincidentally enough, they're trying to bring Amtrak service to Scranton from New York City. So maybe it's a foreshadowing. And back there, it looks like maybe part of Steamtown, possibly with the roundhouse area, turntable, or at least just a rail yard itself. But I do know certain buildings here are specifically recreated. And here's the famous Lackawanna Station Radisson Hotel on Lackawanna Avenue. My friends Jake and Becky actually stayed there recently on a visit last year. Dunder Mifflin building right there. Post office. And then we have St. Joseph's Center right here. Judge Lumber Company. AAA, which is in downtown Scranton right there. Even illuminated. And here's a hobby center, arts and crafts, trains and models. Burgess Funeral Home, complete with a hearse right in front of it. Isaac Trip House, which I think I remember that place. And then this building here, just amazing to see. Look at even the vehicles in front of it too. And then this is the old Naog Park Zoo, which used to be in existence here. The building is still there. The cages, they used to use it for Halloween display and also now for Christmas decorations, but they used to have animals in the zoo there. And I think it was Tilly the elephant, if I'm not mistaken, that used to be outside. And then we have the football field here with the stadium lights, the bleachers. This is bringing back a lot of memories for me. Arnold's right there. It's like a little drive-in place, burgers and shakes. Now again, the layout of this is different from what I remember, but everything is still pretty much the same. So we have this main section right here, and then we have this area over here, which has a, what I call a carnival corner, similar to what I have in my layout. Ice skating right here in the front. And even the circus right there. That is really neat. They're inside of there. People sitting in the background. Trapeze artists, and you got the balloon ride in the back. Some slides in the distance. And then up in the far back is, I believe, the airport. Probably Scranton AVP, if I'm not mistaken. And over here we do have some 3-rail O-scale Lionel track here. And a lot more residential homes. So they got a Lackawanna F unit running around in this one here. And looks like New York Central steam train right there. And then we have a Virginia diesel right here in front. So nice variety of equipment running around. Old style Burger King right there. Old style KFC. Even Blockbuster Video still lives on here in miniature memories. DeKalb Fruit. And look again, these homes are just incredible. And these buildings. I wouldn't even know where to start to build these, and yet they're so accurately and finally done that if you were to take a picture of this and the real thing, it'd be hard to spot any differences. That's an animated firehouse back there. You usually push a button and the fire truck comes out. And over here we have a little scrapyard area. Everything from planes and trains and automobiles, just like the movie. Sanford and Son right there. Really bringing a lot of good memories back from the 80s. And like I said, I saw it for my last time in 2014 at the mall. And never thought I'd be seeing it again. I didn't even know it's a little N-scale trolley. had to head outside. The field trip started moving into the train room there. It got a little bit crowded. So I did briefly off camera talk to the curator of the museum, and he told me a few things. Is that number one, this display is going to be here till the end of March. So there's still time to come and see it if you want to see it for yourself. It's about 75% of what used to exist. I do remember it being bigger, and there are certain things that are not here today, like the old Tunkhannock Viaduct, and I think more of like Nyack Park and other things. So things that used to exist in the original layout aren't here. But he said the person that purchased it, the current owner, basically had it up in storage in his attic for a number of years after it left the Steamtown Mall. And they made an agreement here to put on display and allowing the public to come see it once again. So you pay your admission to the museum, you got the whole museum, plus the train room, which is just inside to the right. But they said at the end of March, the one section display is going to stay there for the foreseeable future in a different room as a type of modern art. The other one, which is where the woman was running the multiple old-scale trains, that one, they don't know what the future is going to be. It's not being destroyed or anything like that, but they don't know where it's going to be housed. But although it's not as original as what I remember, it's still great to see it's still surviving today. It's not extinct, it's not been destroyed, and any rumors of that are put to rest because it's here today. There weren't any HO trains running. She said they weren't really wired up yet. Right now it's more or less a static display, but they do have a few operable trains, and they will run them for you if you do ask. Again, as far as I know, there was never any O-scale trains running on it. It was always HO, but like most train layouts, they don't stay the same. They do evolve over time, and I have no problem in seeing different scales running, including the N-scale trolley, O-scale, and even the HO track. So this really put a smile on my face, brought back a lot of great memories, not only of Don himself, but of going to the building, Scranton Marketplace in the 80s with my father, talking to Don, and just looking in awe and amazement at the display. Because then, when I filmed it at the marketplace, and I'm not sure about the mall, I have to look back at the footage, but then it was one giant display, like one solid piece. It wasn't broken up into individual pieces like this. So it used to be one large layout, and it was a lot more detailed back then with the roads and streets and landscaping. So although things look a little bit generic in some areas, the buildings and everything that you see were created by Don. They're some of the best I've ever seen on a model train display. I mean, there's a lot of talented artists out there in the model railroad community, but Don was a pioneer. He's ahead of his time, and he built something that families and even adults alike can enjoy for decades to come. And literally, his display is where it all started for me. I got into the love of real trains with Conrail, seeing them running here in Pennsylvania, but having a model train display started with this. Seeing miniature memories made me want to have a display of my own, and that's why I do have one today, an 8x8 display, which I have featured on my channel. So anyways, I want to thank you for coming along and revisiting another one of my childhood memories right here at Nyack Park inside the famous Everhart Museum. Well worth the $10 admission, and if you've never seen that display, well, hopefully you know a bit more about it and the person behind it. And if you are familiar with it and want to see it again, now's your chance to do so. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.